Wake up at 7, run to the gym for a quick workout, shower, get dressed, catch the bus by 9, grab breakfast with friends before your class at 10:30. After class, grab a quick lunch at 12 and study for that test. Run to your class at 2 and make sure you take that test and then stay for office hours with your professor. On the way back to the bus, make sure you call mom to save some time in between things. And then once you get on the bus and off the bus, make sure you grab a quick dinner to go before your club meeting at 8. After your club meeting, run back to the dorm, shower, get ready for bed, and go to sleep. When every day is exciting and has things going on, it can be fun, but also you can reach periods of burnout and feel exhausted in all facets of your life, emotionally, mentally, physically, and socially. I'll never forget the day that the university announced that it was shutting down on March 10th due to COVID-19. I was sitting in a booth with friends at Henry's Diner, which was a perfectly planned out part of my very scheduled day. And while this change seemed overwhelming, it would ultimately be a positive one. It just would take some time to realize. I remember the first few months of quarantine that were filled with walks and way too much Netflix. In March, I did TikTok dances with my parents and planned family game nights, which was a lot of fun. And then in April, I watched Tiger King, which I'm ashamed to say, but it was great. And I also did Chloe Ting workouts. And while these activities were fun, it really took me until about May or June to start looking inward and reflecting on how I was doing. And I ultimately realized there was one thing that had always been missing from my life: self-love. When you're young, you dream of the day you'll meet someone, fall in love, and they'll make you feel as if all your problems have gone away. Unfortunately, this is an over-romanticized view of love, and it often makes us forget about the most important form of love that we can have in our lives, which is self-love. And there are so many ways to enact self-love in our lives. For example, you can make sure you're sleeping enough each night, or incorporate activities into your day that make you feel good, such as reading. I know when I was trying to incorporate self-love into my life, it was difficult, and I looked to enact new practices. For example, I tried to pick up yoga, which at first was really scary because I'm very much a perfectionist and I was afraid I was going to mess up. At first, I was afraid of failure, but as I continued to practice, I learned that I had confidence and I felt so strong in my skill in being able to practice yoga. Another activity that I soon picked up was coloring. I bought an adult coloring book, and at first I thought it was immature and childish, but soon I learned that coloring makes me feel so good in moments where I'm feeling anxious, burnt out, or want to get my mind off of negative thoughts. And finally, I questioned my relationship with social media, because I'm sure all of you are thinking the same thing. Social media use is such an ingrained part of our routine. We just aimlessly scroll and use hours that we could spend on other things. I realized that I was questioning parts of my life that I had felt so certain about. I was comparing my body with bodies and faces that were photoshopped on my feed. And I was questioning the relationships in my real life with those that I saw on social media. And this time to think and reflect on my relationship with social media ultimately led me to better my life by picking pieces of it out of my life. And it can be so hard in the hustle and bustle of everyday life to take these little moments of time to think and reflect and see how things in our lives are making us feel and how people in our lives are making us feel. And I still think it's funny that I never stopped to reflect. There's a saying that goes, "You can't pour from an empty cup." And it's so true. In order for any of us to perform at our highest potential, we need to make sure our basic needs are being met. And unfortunately, the best person to do that and make sure that we are okay is ourselves. So when I take time to plan in my agenda, every moment that I take to schedule for something else, I make sure I'm also matching that to take time for myself, because time that you spend on your own needs is just as important as time for other things. And while this journey towards self-love will absolutely be a long one, I know that by putting in the time and the energy now to ensure that I am doing well, will contribute to the overall journey that I am on to accepting and loving myself as I am.